Hello, everybody, and welcome. As you can see, there are plenty of goodies behind me. See, look at all of it. But how did I get them? You're probably wondering. Oh, not by what I was holding. You guys didn't see what I was holding there. Well, now that I've shown you, today we're gonna be learning the joyous wonders of panning. So, what exactly can we pan, and what will we get from panning? Well, we'll find out today on Will It well, actually, no, I think that belongs to somebody else. Oops. But anyways, let us begin. Ooh, what a nice cold day. A nice cold night, actually. It's a little chilly out here. It's so cold. Welcome back to episode 28, everybody. Today, we are going to be doing some sifting. We're going to be finding out exactly what can sift. There's not much, as you can see here. We have gravel, we have bony soil, we have sand, we have soil. Maybe we could try on some of the cobblestone too. We're gonna see what we can sift here. Obviously, some of this we can't. I did bring some clay ovens so that we can cook up some bread. We did spend a little bit of money last time. I do have some bread left over that we can sell, but I wanted to cook up some more bread so that we can sell it later. But gravel and soil and all that stuff is wonderful. It gives you wonderful goodies. We're going to see what we can get from them. So I guess without further ado, we'll start off with the bony soil here. Let's get into the water here, and I'll sift this first piece here. And then I got a little list here that'll tell us what you can sift. So you can sift bony soil. That is a yes. So will it sift? It can, and you do get some wonderful things from it. So while I'm sifting all this stuff here for now, because I do have a lot of this stuff to get through, but I can go through the list of what exactly it can give you. And I guess before I do that, I did, a candle, nice. So a candle, that's an important one. We really like those. I did say I wanted to get the clay ovens going, so I will actually get 6 pieces in each of them, just so they can get all nice and warm. And I do have to keep an eye on it. We did burn a bit last time, so I have to be a bit careful. For now, I'll just get them lit. I do have some more grain being made outside, so that once I get through this bit of dough, I can go out and make some more, and we can keep going. 'Cause this is going to take a while to sift through, and I imagine that I'm going to get through all of this bread relatively quickly. But while that's burning and getting ready for us to put our bread or dough into, we'll just keep sifting through this bony soil, and I'll tell you guys what you guys can find here. So with the bony soil, we can find well, I'm going to start off the list. It's going to be from the least rare to the most rare. So early on, we're going to go through the most common down to the stuff that is a high % chance of finding. Like the highest, I believe, is like 1 in 5,000, which is crazy. So bones and flax fibers are pretty common. You can find those often, along with flint and copper arrowheads. I don't want to open that. I don't usually use the bow and arrow too much myself. I do have pretty horrible aim, if you've seen from previous videos. But another thing that is really important that you can find is the like and subscribe button down below. If you're enjoying the video, please leave a like and please subscribe. It does help out. I would really appreciate it. All right, we'll get back to the video. Which is next is the rusty gears. Now, rusty gears, those are what we use to buy and sell. So along with the bread, rusty gears, by selling the bread, you get rusty gears. But you can find them in the bony soil, which is useful for buying stuff later, which we will do plenty of, because I do believe I still need my boots for my blackguard armor, and I do need to find a map to the ancient reliquary. I do believe it's called. I haven't actually been there yet. I don't fully know the details. I've talked about it before, don't know what it is, but I know I need to find it to fight the boss, and that is one of our goals, to fight the final boss. So rusty gears you can find. It's important. Next is the bony rib cages, which is a bigger piece of bone that you could place down and break into a bunch of little pieces of bone. I don't fully know the uses for bone. I believe you can use bone meal to create the best kind of soil. So I'll have to experiment with that later, because I do have a bunch of bones saved up, and I don't actually have a use for them yet. See, look right here, bony ribcage. You plop it down. Oops, I did not mean to take a picture. You plop it down. You break it open. You get a bunch of little bones right there, which is kind of useful, I guess, for later. All right. So apart from the bony rib cages, you've got your candles, which we already found one of this time. And it's a great way to get your candles early for your lanterns. It's good to find them if you haven't found a beehive yet, because the beehive, you can get wax and you can make a candle that way. Oh, look at that. See, I already knew this was going to be an issue. We are the charred bread king, apparently. Hey, the only saving grace is that it lasts quite a while. It has 1.2 years as fresh, so I need to pay a little more attention. I'm going to just do that. It'd be better if I had them facing this way, but maybe I can move them once I clear out some more of this bony soil. So yeah, if you haven't found a beehive for the candles, it is great. Next is you can find rough emeralds, peridot, and diamond. But those are all the rough variations of them. And those are useful for selling as well. Next is nuggets of gold and silver. I do know they have their uses. I believe one of them is to make plates, a silver plate or a gold plate, and you can use those inside of your lantern to make them brighter. Other than that, I'm not entirely sure of what their uses are. After those nuggets of gold and silver, you've got your copper spearheads. So you get the spearhead and you can just make a copper spear like that one there. Now these are parked baked. I'm just going to watch them for just a second before I continue the list, because I believe they're about to be done. You can watch them rise a little bit. Yep, there they go. Oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Okay, back to panning. So after the copper spearheads, another thing that you can find in the bony soil are actually, and we found a few already, are several types of lore books. Those are the ones that I read inside of the building. So that's one of the way to find the lore. After the lore books, you can find yourself some copper lamellae and copper metal chain, which can be used to make armor. By the time you get enough from sifting through the bony soil, it has such a rare chance that in order to get enough, you'd have to sift through so much that by the time you do get that much, you probably already created a set of armor out of something even better than copper. So it's probably not a good idea to try to sift through this stuff just to find the lamellae and the metal chains for it. And next is actually a very important one. And I was told that you can sift through, I can't remember if it was a stack or two of bony soil, and you have a chance of finding at least one temporal gear. And those are important to use on repairing some teleporters. Oops, gotta grab the bread. The temporal gears, yeah. So they're used to repair teleporters, which I have found one of. But they're also good for setting your spawn point. If you use it in front of your house or inside of your house, I think if you haven't set it up for your server when in the world settings, I think it only has 10 uses. You can set it up to have unlimited uses. Oh, look, see? We just got ourselves an emerald. But it's useful for setting your spawn. Otherwise, you'll just spawn at where you started when you first loaded into the world. But temporal gears are very, very important. So you're always going to be looking for those, from my understanding. Next is there's a couple types of tuning cylinders you can find. Tuning cylinders are like music discs. You can use them. I don't know what the device is that you use them on. I'm guessing it's called like a tuner or something. I haven't actually found one yet. I was hoping to have, but I don't know how to get them. I think you buy them, but I'm not sure. But it plays music. But there's only 2 different kinds that you can find this way. And I'm not sure how you can find more. But yeah, you do need the machine to play them. And then the last things that you can find through sifting through the bony soil is a bunch of jewelry. There's like a crown piece or some necklaces or wrist pieces that you can equip. I believe those also can be sold, so it's useful to find those as well. And that's about what you can find from the bony soil, from the most rare to the least rare. Next, we're going to check on the soil here. Now, this is something that you cannot sift through. It's not a block that you can sift through. So you cannot go through any soil. And I believe that's through packed dirt, low fertility, medium fertility, or high fertility. And I believe that also includes the terra preta. That's what it's called, terra preta. You cannot sift through this. It's a bummer. I was hoping you could, because I'm guessing if you could, you'd probably be able to find seeds. But since you can't, there are no seeds, which kind of stinks. Next is the gravel here. I need an air block up above it. So I'm going to take that. Give it to me. Thank you. Check on the bread real quick. Flint arrowheads. Yeah, so I'm just going to, okay, I'm going to keep those because that's stuff we went through. And then I'm going to actually put our goodies inside of this chest. And I'm probably going to put it inside of that one too. Grab the bread here. I'm going to put these last 4 pieces in. I'm actually going to run out. And I'm going to go check on our grinder. It is not even close to being done. That's fine. It just looks like we won't be able to cook too much more bread after this, which is okay. I'll probably burn it anyway. So next is bread, or not bread, is the gravel. This one is just so happens to be the conglomerate gravel. So let's check it out. And yes, we can sift through the conglomerate gravel. Now, the first thing that is most common, we're going to go through it again from the most common to the rare. And the most common is loose stones. Now, when you find the loose stones, it'll be of the kind of gravel that it is. So this is conglomerate gravel. So we're going to be finding conglomerate stones if we do find some. And I believe all of the other kinds of gravel that you can, like andesite gravel, there's other kinds of gravel that you can find, but it'll give you the stone that is in the name. This one will give us conglomerate stone. The next is, especially early on, this is a very important one, which is nice that it's pretty common. Let me grab that before it burns. Is what we've actually already found a couple of pieces of. 3 pieces now, is these nuggets of native copper. Now, early on, this is fantastic because we can find copper by either sifting through the gravel here, or we find it by finding little pieces on the ground lying out in the world. But now, when you find the pieces lying down on the ground out in the world, you can pick those up, but you do want to mark it on your map where you find them. For example, right here, I have a copper waypoint. Same with here. I found pieces of... Now, they won't look exactly like that, but they will be copper colored. And you do want to mark that because below the ground, pretty close to the surface, is going to be a small node of copper. So it'll be very useful to mark those. But this is the easiest way to get copper if you are having a hard time finding those nodes. And it is good to get enough to smelt into your first tool. Might I recommend that when you do go to smelt it, you do want to make yourself a copper pickaxe first and a copper hammer second. Because when you do go to find those nodes, like I mentioned, they're not going to come into your inventory as the nuggets. They're going to come in as chunks. and you're going to need a hammer to break those chunks into pieces into the nuggets. So if you don't have those two tools, you won't be able to get copper as early on as you might hope you can. So you'll want to make yourself a pickaxe, and you'll want to make yourself a hammer. Another thing that it drops, which we just got, is flint. Flint is the next on the list, which is useful in making early tools. Like I said, early on, you're not going to have your copper tools. You're going to be wanting to make stuff out of flint. You will find them lying on the ground. I can't place it back on the ground without napping it, but you will find pieces of rock on the ground that look kind of like that, except there will be a more grayish tint to one part of it that will indicate that it is a piece of flint, and that'll be used to make your first tools. So I guess it is a decent way to get tools, but by the time you actually get yourself a panning bowl, you've already made yourself a couple of tools out of flint, because you'll need to make a knife to make a bowl, and you're gonna need an axe. So yeah. So you get flint. Another thing that you can get is blue clay. After flint, it's the blue clay that is on the list. It's a similar thing to finding, like the copper nodes or finding the flint. Is you probably already come across a fire clay area or a blue clay area. So although it is nice to find it inside of the gravel, it is not absolutely necessary to sift through to try to find it. As you can see, I've sifted through 2.5, and I have not found a piece of blue clay yet. So it's not a useful way to get it. I was looking for food before I realized I do have a bunch of bread in my inventory, and I can just eat that. So let me just chomp down on some bread here. Sorry guys, don't mind my eating noises. Okay. So next on the list for gravel that you can find is quartz chunks. Now, quartz chunks can be used to melt into glass. You won't be doing much of that early on. It is nice to find, but again, by the time you do get enough from sifting, I mean, you're already going to have found a chunk, and you're already going to have tools to mine it by then. Is most likely. Another thing that you can also get after quartz chunks is actually the clear quartz, which is used to make lanterns. You use a piece of clear quartz on either side of a candle, and then you're going to have a metal plate below it of, I believe it's either tin bronze or copper. A copper plate. So you're going to need 2 bars of either tin bronze or 2 bars of copper to make a plate. So you can use that to make yourself a lantern. But like I said, by then you're probably already going to have the tools to mine out a bunch of quartz anyway, so finding quartz this way is probably not the best. The next is sphalerite nuggets, also known as zinc. So you can get a couple of zinc nuggets, which is nice. I don't exactly have a use for them. As you can see, I do have a few pieces here of the zinc nuggets. I don't know if I've used any yet. It is nice to have, any ore is good to have if you don't have any. But yeah, that's the next on the list. And then after that is the flint and copper arrowheads, and also flint and copper spearheads. I've already got a couple of flint spearheads. I haven't gotten any arrowheads or any copper spearheads or copper arrowheads, but that's fine. We don't necessarily need them. And after that is rusty gears. So you can get more rusty gears from conglomerate gravel, which is, it's useful. That's very useful. You always want rusty gears. So any way you can get some rusty gears, the better. I'm going to take a second. I'm going to continue with the list, but there's a reason. I'm going to check on the sand next. So sand, you can sift through it. This one is also conglomerate sand, which means you will be getting conglomerate stones from it. Now, the reason why I do these two together is because the sand and the gravel actually have the same loot table. So you're going to be finding the same things in both of these at the same rarity. That being said, I'll continue with the list. So after the rusty gears, you will also have a chance of finding rough lapis lazuli. I believe it's called lapis lazuli. I've heard lapis lazuli before. Lapis lazuli. You'll have to tell me the way you guys pronounce it. I know there's a right way and a wrong way, but I always say lapis lazuli, and I feel like that's the wrong way to say it. I'm going to go back to sifting through the bony soil here, but I'm going to continue with the list of the gravel and sand. Next in the gravel list, you can find metal parts and scraps. I don't necessarily know the uses for those yet as well. I will learn at some point. I do believe I have several pieces sitting out there in a basket. I don't have a need for them yet, but it's good to have for down the line. So also in sand and gravel, you can find bony rib cages as well. Not as important of an item, but it's there. Next is more temporal gears. You can actually find temporal gears as well in it. And again, I do believe you need several stacks to find just one. I believe it's like a 1 in 1,000 chance of finding one. I could be wrong, but temporal gears are super useful. We'll take any way we can get them. Finding mobs, finding them in chests. I don't know if you can actually find them in chests, but I believe you can. But also sifting through this stuff. It's a safe way to find it, I guess, if you have a lot of gravel or sand around your home. And then after temporal gears, you've got your cassiterite nuggets, which is also known as tin. I don't think I've found any yet. Let me take a quick look. Nope, we found a crusty gear. We also found ourselves a bony rib cage, but no cassiterite yet. But it's more of a rare find. And tin is useful, along with copper, to get yourself some tin bronze going. And then again, as well as bony soil with gravel and sand, you can also find yourself a couple of tuning cylinders, which are the same tuning cylinders you can find in bony soil, and a variety of jewelry, which is similar as well. So you're going to be finding a variety of things. It is useful to sift through this stuff if you do find it, especially bony soil. Bony soil is probably what I like to sift through the most, just because I can find extra candles. I do have some beehives now, but I have had issues finding beehives before, so having an extra way to get them is quite nice. And it also gives you an extra activity to do when it's wintertime outside and you don't really have much else to do. But like what I'm doing here, you can pair it up with cooking your bread, which is good to do. You can double it up, make it go by a little bit faster. But yeah, I think I'm gonna sift up this last bit of bony soil here and see what I can get. I'll show you guys what I've gotten in just this little bit here inside of these chests. But yeah, I thought I'd do a quick little rundown of the things that you can find through sifting. And as you guys can guess, you cannot sift through any cobblestone. So, but I believe so. Bony soil, gravel, and sand. Those are what you can sift through. If I'm wrong, let me know. That is all I know that you can sift. I did do a little bit of research, and that's what I found. So, yeah, I hope you guys like that little bit of sifting information. It's useful. It's useful to know what you can and can't get. That way, you're not looking for something that you don't know if you'll find. Man. But yeah, I hope you guys have had fun. It's been a while since I've been back. It's nice to be back and see you guys again. Oh, man. We have quite a bit of winter to get through too. We're still in November. So there's a bit of a bit of winter to get through yet. I'm wondering, oh yay, more flax flour. I'm wondering if I should save more buying and selling stuff for the winter time, or for not winter, for the spring. Traveling can be quite dangerous, I believe. I know I did go out before, and it seemed like it was fine, so maybe I'll just continue buying and selling. You do need to wait a few days in between because it does take a while for the traders to restock. But that is something that I definitely want to do more of. That's why I'm making more bread. Because we do want to get to the Resident Archive, and I do want to get progress on fighting the last boss, or not the last boss. I say the last boss, but it's the only boss. Ooh. Oh, yay. There's another trick there, which I am absolutely failing to do. So you don't need to close your inventory. You can just move your bucket to the hotbar piece that you have selected. Right-click on the water, and it'll scoop it up. And you can just keep remaking the flax dough without having to open and close your inventory. I didn't know that. I was told by one of you guys how to actually do this. So, thank you. I believe these are pretty cold now. So I'm just gonna reheat them because we have more bread to cook. And we have a little bit more bony soil to sift through. Get this all nice and hot. And burning. Look at that. Okay, put the torch back. Let that stuff cook a bit. Oh. Yeah. Oop. Let's get a little view outside. I did put the windows up, but I can't really see anything through that window there. It's too cloudy. We got a nice view of our outside. We'll let a little bit of cold air in. Get a little warm in here because of all the fires going. So I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, but sometimes it's nice to be out in the cold, but like all like super wrapped up and getting really hot, but having the cold air on your face, it balances out and it feels kind of nice and fresh. I guess it's kind of like being inside of your bed all bundled up in warm clothes, but it's a little bit cold outside and you have the window open, so there's a nice cool breeze and the air is nice and fresh inside of your room, and it's a little, what would you call that, brisk, but it feels nice. I don't always want to do that because sometimes it does get a bit too cold, but you know. I do need to get a little bit more work done on my windmill there. Looking a little sad, isn't it? Maybe I need to make a little bit better of a structure for it. Make it look a little fancier. I don't know what I'd put below it if I just leave it as a windmill and have a little opening for the cairn. I do believe I'm going to be moving it at some point. I hope it doesn't ruin the sails when I break it. I don't think it would, but I know sometimes things like that, they just straight up break if they're... I highly doubt they would. I think it'll give me the block. But when I put it on the sail, it put on all 4 pieces at the same time. So I don't know if it would be a case of I would need to break the middle piece and then all the rest of it would pop off in its individual parts or not. But I guess we'll see. That's when I decide to move it. I was told that when I do get to making myself a health hammer, I need to... Sorry, let me grab this bread. I need to make a windmill with the blades facing all 4 directions because I believe it needs that much power in order to actually start hammering out what you need. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I thought you could have it facing only one side, but maybe it's just a case of it's only most optimal when you have the windmill blades facing all 4 sides. That's probably what it actually was. Otherwise, you'd have to make a lot of sails, which I don't have quite enough of yet because I think I went through plenty of the flax that we did make last year to make those sails there. I will plant quite a bit more. I think, like I said before, I do have a bunch of grain still. I might make one of the fields half and half of spelt and rye and then make 2 fields full of the flax. I think that would be the most beneficial for me. I do know I need to rotate the crops, but I don't know the most efficient way to do that. So I'll have to see what the soil's looking like at the beginning of the year. It looks like we're just about done going through all of this soil here. We did have quite a bit of the soil here, and it's just about gone. That kind of did go by pretty quickly, didn't it? Hey, that is A-okay. The faster it goes by, the better. And we have some nice accompanying music to go along with it. Thank you, Vintage Story, for your beautiful music. I don't know how well you could hear it, but it definitely sounds more like it would be better for like a spring vibe. Hey, but it's a nice and sunny day, you know, out that direction. Out this window, it's a cold and cloudy day, and then a blue sky, clear, snowy day, apparently. That's fine. That's enough of that. We're just about done here with our bony soil. We just got a little bit more left to go here. And this is the last piece. I don't believe I have any more hiding away anywhere. I can go check. So just give me a second. Let me grab this bread. I'll get it cooking. I'm gonna go check on my chests inside of my house here. Looks like we have for just soil here. More soil. And it does not look like we have any more sand or bony soil. Okay, so this here is a bronze armlet. I believe that is something that you can find. I did find this in the bony soil, I believe. So it's stuff like that you can equip. I believe it's only cosmetic. I don't think it gives you any buffs or anything. There's the metal parts that you can also find. I can't remember if it said metal parts. I think it did. But the metal scraps are in here. They look like that. And I don't know the uses for them yet. But that's okay. We're all still learning. So let me just shove all this stuff away real quick. See if any of this... I can't remember. No. There. Bones. That. Not there. Okay. Oh, I did have... Oh, I do have more... I do have more gravel. That's right. I did put it inside of that chest there. I'm going to take the burnt bread and the rot. I'm just going to store this stuff in here. I could probably actually turn the rib cages into bones. Hold on. Oh no, it's charred. Oops, I was a second too late. What did I tell you guys? We like to make charred bread here. Charred bread, yummy. Mmm. Oh, goodness. Forgive me. Forgive me for the charred bread. And then we got ourselves a couple of lore books here, too. Okay, so, just to show off real quick, I did get a lapis, 41 bones, 3 rough emeralds, 6 peridot, 2 candles, 12 flint arrowheads, 4 copper arrowheads, 15 fibers, 3 nuggets of silver, 1 nugget of gold, a rusty gear, 2 sphalerite nuggets, 3 rib cages, 6 flint, 10 nuggets of copper, and some flint spear heads. Now, I only did go through 6 pieces of the gravel and the sand. You will find more if you do like a full stack of the sand or gravel. You will find more nuggets, and you will find enough. I believe it's 40. So 20 pieces will melt into 1 bar, but you want to pour it into a mold first to get yourself a pickaxe. Same with the hammer. It's another 20 pieces. So you're going to want to find a total of 40 copper pieces. So I'm going to... Actually, I will put down a couple of pieces. I'm going to wait for that last bit of bread to bake. And then we'll see how much bread we've got there. I might as well eat some of this burnt bread. I mean, what else are we going to do with it? It doesn't give you much in the way of food like actual cooked bread does. I guess the only saving grace for it is that it lasts so long. But, I mean, oh, the bread. Yeah, I need to store that, actually. It does need to be stored away, otherwise it's gonna go bad. So let me just place it in here. Like so. And in here, it'll last for 112 days, as opposed to the 5 and 8 that it was in my inventory. So better to put it inside of your cellar, guys. Put your bread away. Don't keep it out. Otherwise, you'll end up with an inventory full of rot. Nobody likes rot. Ugh. Gross. I mean, I guess it's useful for making compost, which in effect is then used for making yourself some nice terra preta soil later, which is useful for farming, which I will need a lot of. But I believe the way to go... Well, actually, I don't know the best way to get rot. I think it's just to gather food and just let it sit. But I feel like that's a waste. I wonder if there's a more efficient way to get yourself a load of rot. I know berries rot pretty quickly and you'll get plenty of them, but I feel like you don't get much for just a little bit of the berries. And I don't think it's a 1-to-1, like 1 berry equals 1 rot. I think it's like a tiny bit. So you'd have to get a lot of berries in anyways. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something when it came to sifting through the soil here. I did a little, like I said, I did a little research and I did learn a few things. This is one key aspect of the game that I know there are several people that I know, and I know it's a big deal that a lot of people actually enjoy sifting through gravel soil and bony soil. There's a lot of other key mechanics to the game that are useful just like that. Uh-oh. What was that? I think the music was wanting to start to play and it had to stop and wait a second to figure out what was going on. But yeah. And like I said, useful to do something else while you're also panning. You can keep your eye on bread, get some bread going. You're going to be wanting to get plenty of gears for buying and selling things. Okay, Diet of Kings. Ooh, that's a new lore book that we haven't gotten. And then this one, oops, gave us a more lore for reflection. So I believe I'm just gonna put the book down there. And then I wonder, can I, nope, it doesn't. Why does it go all the way up if I can't put another layer of books? Bummer. I'll just set it there. So I'll go to my journal. I will come out here, and in the spirit of the whole sifting video, I will read the lore inside of the sifting room, since that's what we were doing today. So I believe it was Reflection and Diet of Kings. So I will start with Diet of Kings here. So Scribe's Note, 1318. Master Jonas Falks, please come forth. The lords and ladies rose when he entered the room. Even the kings gave him small gestures of welcome. He walked to the center of the court, his attendant behind him bearing a great collection of drafts. My lords, as I'm sure you're now aware of, we face a nightmarish threat. This disease, or plague as it has been called, is not overly complex. Neither is it beyond our vision. It is, quite simply, desolation made manifest. Here, his attendant began laying out a number of medical diagrams upon the floor. Master Falks issued from one parchment to the next, gesturing as he went. It rots the body in its entirety. It begins externally, with numbness and darkened skin. Proceeding further into the ligaments, the victim may lose control of entire limbs. Eventually, the flesh sloughs off in small heaps. By this time, the victim has likely entered a cataleptic state. This may as well be a blessing for them. The rot will have overtaken their eyes and ears now, depriving them of their senses. Arriving at the last parchment, he paused and gazed upon it. Many of the gathered assembly also leaned forward to see the image more clearly. From the scribe's desk, it appeared only to be a drooping mass of charcoal smearings. This is all that remains of the poor souls. In its final stages, the rot consumes the mind and body whole, leaving nothing left of distinction. Here, His Majesty, the King of Undland, interjected. Is there truly no method of treating this malady? What preventions are available to us? No preventions, Your Grace, save total isolation from the populace. Even such a drastic method as that will only last until the food supply is infected. As for treatments, I have found none. Perhaps some of my betters from the Academy have made progress, but judging by their silence, I think not. He paused again here and cleared his throat. It is a certain death. However, I stand here now to offer you a better fate. So that was the end of Reflections, and it's 2 of 2, so that's it for that story. Or that was Diet of Kings. Did I say Reflections? Anyways, we're going to move on to Reflections. And I can't remember if I had started reading this one yet. But I don't believe I did. I might save that for next time. I want to know what you guys think. Should I read the story only when that is 5 out of 5? When I found all the pages? Or do you want me to read them as I find them? I feel like it'd probably be better if I read them one at a time. Or not one at a time. When I have collected the whole book. But I can do it one at a time if you would like me to. So. Okay. But yeah. Thank you guys for joining me on the little sifting journey we had today. We did find some goodies. You can find some wonderful things. And we'll do plenty more of it as, like I said, we still have plenty of winter to go through. I do want to get to work on some more projects around our home. I might start clearing up the land a bit, but that won't be till later. Gotta check on our bees at some point, make sure they're doing okay. I hope so. It's so cold out, and I know they like to. They don't move around a lot when it's cold out. Usually, when I find bees outside when it's cold, I try to get them somewhere where it's warmer. Even the nasty ones, because I'm a nice person. They're useful for some things. It's nice to see everybody again, and we'll catch you guys next time. So, have fun, and bye!